allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting for August 14, 2007. I have a few announcements to make before we get started. Let's see. We had, there will be item number 18 today, pursuant to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9b1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 2 cases. And item 19 will be a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, public employee performance evaluation, Public Works Director. And before I forget, I believe all the notifications were made, hopefully. But item number 16 on today's agenda, which is a public hearing regarding the Wallace Lake Estates project, is continued. It is continued until September 25th. And so if anybody didn't get that message and they're here today for that issue, that item, it will be continued until September 25th. We had some closed sessions at the close of the meeting on August 7th, 2007. A closed session conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9b1, significant exposure to litigation, 2 cases with no action taken. There was a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, public employment, county administrative officer, board action, HR director was authorized to retain recruiting firm by a 3-0 absent vote. A closed session conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Code Section 54956.8, various property partial numbers, agency negotiator, county administrative officer, negotiating parties, Brian Voorhees, Greg Opinski, under negotiation, instruction to negotiator regarding potential purchase price, financing options, board with no action taken. A closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, public employee performance evaluation, Public Works Director, board action, continued to the meeting of August 14th. And finally, closed session conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9a, existing litigation, County of Calaveras and Teton Fly Reels, County Counsel with no action taken. Moving on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They'll be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request removal of an item for the consent agenda for later discussion. Initially, want to pull items number 8 and 9. And any other board member want to pull an item? Member of the staff.
I'd like to pull item 7 for discussion, please, Bill.
7? Any other member of staff wish to pull an item? Any member of the public wish to pull an item for later discussion? Is there a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda?
I move to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Mary? Okay, thanks.
Good morning, Supervisors. Mary Sawicki, Director of Calaveras Works and Human Service Agency. On this item, I'd like to correct my honest mistake, which was I would like the letter to be from the Board of Supervisors in addition to one for myself.
I'll move the item as amended, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, the item has been moved as amended. And seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 4. Item number 8, resolution recognizing Dan Johnson for his 28 years of service with the Calaveras County Sheriff's Department. And we can take these together. Resolution recognizing Keith Anderson for his 25 years of service with the Calaveras County Sheriff's Department. So if I can entertain a motion?
No.
No?
They can't leave till we motion in second, so it's going to die
Okay.
for lack of a motion.
I hope you haven't taken your uniforms to the thrift store because you're going to have to go buy them back.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And, let's see, number 8 is Dan. Yeah, Dan. So Dan, would you please come up to the front here and allow me to present you with this resolution? Resolution from the Board of Supervisors recognizing Dan Johnson for his 28 years of service with the Colorado County Sheriff's Department. Seems like yesterday. This reads, whereas Dan Johnson was employed as follows: Colorado County Sheriff's Deputy, Detective, and Sergeant, May 1st, 1979, April 30th, 2007. And whereas Sergeant Johnson had provided many years of dedicated and professional service to the citizens of Colorado County. And whereas Sergeant Johnson spent several years in service working patrol as a deputy sheriff, field training officer, patrol sergeant, and narcotics officer. Sergeant Johnson served as the department's head, ringmaster, SWAT team leader, dive team member, and supervisor voting safety until his recent retirement. And whereas Sergeant Johnson donated time cleaning and maintaining the range as well as acquiring advanced equipment and training to benefit the Sheriff's Department SWAT team. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Colorado that Sergeant Dan Johnson be honored for his hard work and 28 years of dedicated service to the County of Colorado. This was passed and adopted by the undersigned, all 5 members of the Board of Supervisors, this 14th day of August, 2007.
Bill, can we interrupt you for a minute? Can we interrupt you for a minute?
We already have.
I interrupted for 2.5. On behalf of the Deputy Sheriff's Association, we wanted to present Dan with a retirement badge. Dan retires and he goes and works for Reed City as an extra hire the other day, and things haven't changed a lot. Dan recovered a stolen jet ski, and he passed off the report to me, which I really appreciate. So things haven't changed, but in honor of Dan, we wanted to present him with this retirement badge for his service to the association.
Congratulations, Dan. Keith Anderson, if you'd like to come up, whether you like it or not.
New hair policy at the sheriff's office.
He's a long time. I have here recognizing 25 years of service with the Colorado County Sheriff's Department. So I'll read this. It's quite similar, but it's also just as sincere. Whereas Keith Anderson was employed as follows: Ames Camp Police Department from 1982 to 1981. Colorado County Sheriff's Deputy, Detective, Sergeant, Lieutenant, and Captain from March 25th, 1991 to June 29th, 2007. And whereas Captain Anderson has provided many years of dedicated and professional service to the citizens of Colorado County. Whereas Captain Anderson spent several years of service working in the South Shore Comanche area and in the Paparopolis area as a resident deputy. And whereas Captain Anderson was a strong project manager, completing a variety of assignments, including the opening of substations and managing the Sheriff's Volunteer Unit. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Calaveras, Captain Keith Anderson be honored for his hard work and 25 years of dedicated service to the County of Calaveras. This is passed and adopted by the undersigned this 14th day of August 2007. Signed by all 5 members of the Board of Supervisors. Keith, thank you. Thank you.
Sheriff, is that the new dress code, the face? I like it.
It is for tractor sales.
They did that. Okay, we're moving along to item number 10 on the agenda, public comments. 5 minutes per person, 15 minutes per topic for anyone who wants to address the board on an item not on today's agenda.
Dennis Downham, Sheriff. Something happened yesterday that I need to advise the board of. I know that you're probably all aware that a 3-judge panel from the federal courts is basically involved in 2 lawsuits concerning the governor. And depending on which way they rule at some point, it could cause a capacity limit to be established on the state prisons, which could also evolve into a massive release of people from state prisons, which would certainly impact all the local jails. I mean, if we can't send people to state prison, if we have to take state prisoners into our facility, our already overcrowded facility is going to be impacted severely. The California State Sheriff's Association, State Association of District Attorneys, California Chiefs of Police Association, and Chief Probation Officers Association have been meeting over the course of the last week or so. Yesterday it was decided that they would intervene in these lawsuits. Apparently our associations can't be injured by whatever the judges rule. So the Orange County Sheriff, the El Dorado County Sheriff, and myself are being put forward as principals in the supporting suit that we're going to provide for the governor and the attorney general. Those legal fees, I see some panic. Those legal fees will be taken care of by the state sheriffs and the other associations. But it is critical to us that those judges do not cap the state prisons, at least until we have the opportunity to make other provisions, and that through AB 900 is kind of the first step. So in any case, I'll keep the board informed as we go along. There will be, I don't fully understand it, but they had to name individual sheriffs, and I thought you needed to know since I'm going to be named in that thing. Apparently, if the 3-judge panel rules in what we consider to be the wrong direction, the Ninth Circuit is out of it. It will go immediately to the U.S. Supreme Court. So Marty Mayer, who's general counsel for this California State Sheriff's Association, and his law firm will be driving this thing. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer.
Is there a predicted timeline for this, Dennis?
We need to intervene quickly because I think next month the 3-judge panel is expected to make their ruling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other member of the public that would like to address the board on an item not on today's agenda?
Victoria Erickson, Executive Director of the Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce. I'm here to talk to you about the State Fair booth. As you know, every year the Chamber of Commerce puts forth a booth for the State Fair competition. This year we're very excited about our fair booth. A couple of things are new this year. We've partnered with the Visitors Bureau this year to put forth our fair booth, and we've hired a fair booth builder this year. So we are really going for the gold. As you know, the last few years we've been robbed and we've gotten a silver, even though we've worked very hard on our fair booth. This year we have lots of animation and technology and running water, and we're extremely excited. We started with a contest. We put it out in our newsletter, and Carol McDaniel of Valley Springs was the winner. She came up with the idea that the committee took and ran with, And we're very, very excited. I'm not going to tell you anything about the booth because you have to come up and see it. I'm excited that so many of you are going to come to our awards dinner, and I have with me your pass for Friday to get you into the fair, and also your T-shirt that you'll wear on Friday when you come with us to our exciting celebration where we will win a gold this year. I'm so sure of it. And I'll be back next Tuesday to award you with your ribbon. I would like to invite Supervisor Tryon to change his mind and come with us on Friday. I can get you a pass and a T-shirt. And
Tom, that'd be a free T-shirt.
Come with you. The T-shirts are very exciting, and they're free. And the dinner's free, so you just have to change your mind.
Free always interests me.
I know. That's why I keep saying free. Free. Anyway, here's your T-shirts and your credentials. The only thing they're not giving us this year is free parking passes, so you do have to pay for your own parking. I will tell you that the awards dinner does start at 4 p.m. on Friday. And the best place to park is in Lot Z, which is through Gate 13.
Lot D as in
Lot
David?
Z as in zebra.
Oh, Z.
For those of you who've gone up before, you know that is the dirt parking lot. And it is above the racetrack. It's actually in the racetrack bar. So just look for the racetrack bar. And a couple of you have gone up before. You can share with the other members exactly how to get there. But Lot 13, Gate 13, Lot Z as in zebra is the best place to go. And we look forward to seeing you on Friday at 4 p.m. in your nifty T-shirts. Okay, if you can't come at 4, come at 5. But it starts at 4. So for those of you who can come at 4, we look forward to seeing you. And Supervisor Tryon, if you change your mind, please call me.
I will call you first.
Okay, call me first, and I'll get you in. I'll make sure you're on the guest list. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week with your gold ribbon. I'm so confident this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Victoria. Is there any other member of the public who would like to address the board on an item not on today's agenda? You're not public.
Good morning, Public Works. Rob Houghton. I just want to take a couple of minutes to introduce a new Public Works employee. Last week, Vernis Haddix started work with us as the Deputy Director of Operations and Maintenance for Public Works. As indicated by that title, he will be in charge of all operations and maintenance for all programs within Public Works, responsibility and oversight for road and bridge maintenance, for integrated waste management operations, transit operations. Some total of about 60 employees reporting to Vernis. I haven't told him yet, and please don't disclose that this is definitely the hardest job in Public Works. We're lucky to have Vernis filling this position. He's got many years of public service experience with him that he brings to Calaveras County. And I just want to take this opportunity to introduce him. Thank you, Vernis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vernis, welcome on board.
Welcome, Vernis.
We're very happy to have you here.
I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
Good luck. Welcome.
Yeah, he'll need it. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Morning.
Good morning. Karen Barney, Calaveras County. Sorry, I'm used to saying that other places. County Clerk Recorder. And the reason I'm here today is because I have received a couple inquiries regarding the recent decertification of election systems by the Secretary of State's office. And I just wanted to be sure that you and the public realize that that decertification only pertained to certain touchscreen voting systems. We are an electronic scan system. So that decertification has no effect on Calaveras County voting system. So if you receive questions about that, you can feel confident in saying that we're still okay for the time being.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Good morning, Brian Moss, Environmental Management Agency Administrator. Just wanted to inform the board this morning that we've been very fortunate in receiving some emergency mosquito control and emergency mosquito surveillance funds. The first grant was signed yesterday for $10,000. We were notified this morning that we're eligible for an additional $14,000 that we'll apply for today. And this is certainly good news in light of the fact that there were no monies available from the state of California planned for this year. So these are emergency funds. There may be additional funds coming in the future as well, and we'll certainly apprise the board of that. This is due in part to the deaths that have occurred from West Nile virus, human deaths in the state this year. So just wanted to inform the board.
Brian, so there's a potential of $24,000. Where will this be applied to your program?
Actually, it's going to be applied in part for mosquito control, which will be part of it will be labor to help for existing staff to help the department with offset of cost for labor. And then the other part of it is going to be for actual material, and that will be for testing equipment, that will be for dry ice that the board heard me talk about at preliminary budget, for additional traps for mosquito surveillance, and for testing of mosquitoes for West Nile virus.
Is there going to be aerial spraying in Calaveras, spraying like in San Joaquin?
No. The answer to that, we don't intend upon doing any aerial spraying. We have two different ways of applying the chemicals and agents, and that is either for what we call larviciding, and we do use a blower for that, into water bodies, that kind of thing. Barrier sprays for adults as well, and so that we can actually deal with both the adults and the larvae. In addition to something that, of course, is not included in this, but the mosquito fish program, which we do have one of the tanks down at La Contenta right now. Our other tank is currently in a state of being repaired. But the one at La Contenta is fully stocked, and we are distributing mosquito fish upon request.
Brian, just for the benefit of folks that might be watching this, how does that program work? What benefit are the mosquito fish to who, and how do they acquire them?
Okay, the mosquito fish are a benefit for those areas where there's ponding, where there are mosquitoes breeding, and gather my thoughts on that. The way people can actually get the mosquito fish is to contact us through our West Nile virus website, through environmental health, and or contact the department, and we'll respond accordingly. So we don't, in other words, we don't have people that actually go out and have access to the tank. Staff actually go out, pick up the mosquito fish, and we'll bring them to a site. And this is fairly common.
That's a nice service.
And the same thing applies for if somebody's concerned about adult mosquitoes or having a problem with mosquitoes, they're concerned about West Nile virus, they're concerned about whether it be mosquito larvae and or adults. So again, the process is the same. They can go online and or they can go ahead and contact the department, and we will respond accordingly.
And for those people that feel they have a problem with infestation but they're not quite sure, you folks come out and take a look.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that would like to address the board on an item not on today's agenda? Okay, we'll move along to item number 11, which is discussion and possible action regarding resolution modifying the fee schedule for tires accepted at county facilities, brought to us from Public Works.
Hi, I'm Leslie Daniel from Public Works. We're bringing before you a request to reconsider the tire acceptance policy at the county disposal sites. We're looking to improve public access to services, decrease stockpiling of tires, align the current prices with the market rates, and realize some savings from cash management. The existing policy is that we take tires at 3 of our facilities, Red Hill, Wilseyville, and Rock Creek. We charge for all tires. However, our prices are 40% of market right now. Those prices are encouraging businesses to use our sites rather than using tire recyclers, which would be preferred. We are not recouping the cost of disposal through our revenues currently. We're about 36% of cost is being provided by fees. And it's costing us more to handle the cash at the transfer stations than we are actually receiving in revenues. We're relying very heavily on amnesty days. About a third of the tires collected are collected on amnesty days. And we believe that the reliance on amnesty days is creating an issue with stockpiling. And stockpiling, of course, is an issue with tires because that breeds mosquitoes, and it's a visual blight. So we have 3 recommendations to change this policy. The first is to allow the first 2 tires at no charge. This should provide much better service to the public and be in line with our current policies of accepting garbage at no cost. It would discourage the stockpiling that we believe is occurring, and it would reduce the dependency on the amnesty days. Second, we recommend that we only accept 2 tires per visit at the transfer stations. This would eliminate the handling of cash. Currently, the only thing that we are accepting money for at the transfer stations is tires. And if we eliminated that, then we would not have to manage the cash at the transfer stations, and that would be a cost savings to the department. We also are recommending, for our third recommendation, to align the prices that we charge for tires, and this would be every tire over 2 at Rock Creek, with the current market prices. Our prices were set in 1992. They are 40% of the current market rate, and we're only covering 36% of our costs with those existing rates. This policy would have some financial impacts. We're estimating conservatively that it would cost us about $5,000 annually to implement this policy. That amount is easily covered under the parcel fee and would not impact the budget. It has been accounted for in this current budget cycle. And we believe that in reality, we are balancing that cost with savings from the cash management expenditures that we currently make. In summary, we believe that this is definitely in line with our current policies in terms of accepting waste at no charge, and it better serves our residents, and it addresses the stockpiling issues. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Leslie, the first 2 tires per visit accepted at no charge, is that regardless of their size?
With the exception of tractor tires, which we've always treated differently, and that would be tires that are greater than 22 inches, so we're talking some very large tires here. Yes, truck tires and passenger tires would be treated equally.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
I do.
Go ahead.
Are you looking at expanding this to the other transfer stations? Avery?
The issue of tires at the other transfer stations is space. The one consideration is that we might ask Gamby Disposal in San Andreas to accept tires. They've offered that up before. That hasn't been finalized.
So what will happen in 10 or 15 years, and maybe council can answer this, when we need to start charging again? Will we be able to do that?
We can certainly charge a fee for the service.
Okay. I mean, my concern is this was one of the best things the Board of Supervisors ever did. Probably, I'll give Tryon credit, but when...
well, begrudgingly, I can see.
Yes. But when we implemented this, so when I'm concerned about making changes to something that we would then have to go out again for a vote to change that. But if there be just a fee, then that's fine. Because we've had a lot of discussions over the years on this $150 fee, and I just want to be concerned about manipulating aspects of that fee?
Well, understand that we're not suggesting that we eliminate fees for tires. We still wish to charge for tires to discourage businesses from using county facilities for disposal. So the charges will still be in place for tires. So hopefully that clarifies part of the question.
It's not. I mean, we're eliminating it for the first two. If we want to reinstitute it in 10, 15, 20 years, my question was, would we be able to do that? And council saying yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you.
Russ?
I may be a little confused on this. You said that you would allow a person to bring in 2 tires with no charge, but if they have 3 tires, they've got to take the 3rd tire home?
Well, we would charge for the 3rd tire, but we'd only accept more than 2 tires at Rock Creek. So if they had 3 tires, they would need to go to Rock Creek, and then we would charge for the 3rd tire.
Okay. So at the other transfer stations, if they showed up with 3 tires, they'd have to take the 3rd tire home?
Correct. But we would well advertise this.
That part of it seems sort of counterintuitive to me. I mean, I suspect that that's why we may end up with tires alongside the road. If somebody's got the initiative to get them on their truck and take them to the dump, my strong sense would be that we should find a way to get that 3rd tire off the truck and
What about
into
the
the dump.
4th tire?
Any time that we can avoid the piles of tires alongside the road, that would be my objective. I don't know, does anybody else have any thoughts about that?
I mean, I was sort of thinking somewhat the same. I don't know if it's usual. I always change 4 tires at the same time. So, yeah, but if it's dropping them off for free or paying the tire place $2 or $3 or whatever they charge me, I'll just put them in my car and take them to Red Hill. What was the thought process in 2? I guess that's really what Russ might be asking.
The balance that we're working with is trying to find that balance that serves the public without servicing the businesses.
Got it.
And so therein lies the balance. We certainly could move to a 4-tire acceptance policy if that's the wish of the board. We do already have some issues with the charging, that people take their tires home because they're being charged. So they're accustomed to not being charged for waste at our disposal sites.
Well, the issue, as I understand it, is what we don't want is all the tire companies and people that deal commercially with tires to bring their tires. We want them not to bring their tires to the solid waste, but to recycle it through the channels they're currently recycling through. And I think most of the time we go buy tires, they charge something for the old tires or what have you. So the question is, how much can we accept before all of a sudden, the gas stations and the tire shops start bringing us all of their tires, and then we, instead of having X amount of tires, we have X plus 6X because they have so many tires. I mean, I go to Chevron and Angels, and they do all my tires, and I don't ever take a tire home. There's some people that probably go to Costco or something or buy their tires and come home and do their own tires. And I think that's the market we're trying to address. And so I guess the question is, how many can we accept before we start getting into having commercial people bring us tires?
Well, right now we have a 9-tire limit, which is a state limit, and we know
we have a 9-tire limit in toto.
It's a transportation limit. It's what you can bring legally, or you can transport legally without being registered. And we certainly are getting multiple loads from businesses at the 9-tire limit. So
it was a judgment call.
Yes, we are. It was a judgment call 2 versus 4 tires, and the department is entirely open to reconsideration on behalf of the board on that. People frequent the facilities quite a bit if they know, and it'll be well advertised, that we have a 2-tire limit. Within 2 trips, they can address their tires from a tire change.
Why don't we see how it works?
We can
And
certainly
do
do
a
that.
6-month or a year trial and see if you think, I mean, I like the fact of being able to accept more. I mean, this is sort of this variations of a theme of the $150 fee. I propose we accept it as presented and
Okay,
have Leslie
and I'll
bring it
second
back.
that with the caveat that you kind of review it and let us know how it's working.
We have a report, say, in a year, and if we're finding if Russ's prognostication turns out to be true and we've got a pile of tires building up on our roads, it'd be a good time to revisit it. But how about 1 year?
I don't think that's happened to date, and I don't see why this would cause that to happen. And to me, one of the interesting things is to see if the volume of tires goes up appreciably all of a sudden. Does this generate, more tires coming in? And if so, what are the source of those tires?
So the motion, as I understand it, is for this current resolution with a modification of 4 rather than 2 tires?
No,
Just as presented. As is.
Oh, as is.
With a
Okay.
report back in a year.
Fine.
I'd like to make one comment
Sure.
before the vote. I view this as one good example of the kind of operational efficiencies that we've been talking about relating to budget. We're taking staff time is reduced. We haven't been taking in a whole lot of money, but it's causing a great deal of accounting and sort of side issues to take place. I think this is an efficiency move, and I support it, and I'm hoping other departments will keep on looking, and this department too will keep on looking at every operation for this kind of savings.
So there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 12, discussion and possible action regarding resolution authorizing changes to the position control list for Public Works Department for fiscal year 2007-2008, brought to us by Human Resources. Would that be you this morning, Shirley?
That would be me this morning. These are the new position requests and reclassification requests that were brought forward at proposed budget by Public Works. At that time, it was determined by the board that they wanted to delay action on those items until discussion on BLF revenues took place. That took place at the end of June. And therefore, HR is now bringing forward for the board's consideration those requests for 4 new positions into reclassifications by Public Works.
Okay. Are there questions or comments from the board?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second. Go ahead,
So,
let's see.
it's been
Second.
moved by Supervisor Tryon, second by Supervisor Walensky. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0. Thank you, Shirley. Okay, item 13, is that the one that's been pulled? Okay, item 13.
13 is delayed for
I'd like to have Francine
HR.
for that.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
back up, or I didn't.
right.
Nobody did.
Francine asked that I request this item be delayed until August 28th due to the death in her family. She didn't have the opportunity to be here and to complete the requested changes to the staff report.
And this is to August 28th, Shirley?
That would be correct.
Thank you. Okay, item number 14 was continued from last week. This is the...
So move on the
the
adoption of
continuance?
the urgency ordinance.
On the continuance.
Do you want to?
No, it was
we're on
continued
14,
from last week
Oh,
to
we're
this
doing
week.
item 14 now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Waive reading.
Waive reading. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Moss.
Thank you.
Thanks for the addition on that. Appreciate it.
I think I might have jumped ahead of Tom. On item 13, we're moving it to 28. We're sort of loosey-goosey on whether we vote or we don't vote on these unless a board member has a problem. Jim, what do you think the appropriate protocol should be? That we do take a vote to move an item out, or just let the chair do it, and if there's no discussion?
I think it's entirely up to the board or the board's chair. As long as it's on the agenda 72 hours ahead of time, we meet the notice requirement.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
Yeah, and I think we have consensus here that that's...
Yeah.
I would like to have a vote, because if it's on the agenda, then board members should be able to address it, and board members should be able to decide whether they wish to vote on it or not, since it's agenda.
That's fine.
I don't think something that's agendized, one individual can just take it off the agenda.
Okay, would you like to offer a motion to that effect?
I would like to offer a motion
I
for a
will second.
continuance till, what is it, August?
All right.
28th.
August 28th.
And I'll second
I think
that.
that's how it should be done.
All right, for item number 13, it's been moved and seconded to continue this to August 28th, 2007. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0.
Are you happy, Supervisor Tryon?
Very happy.
Not
but
necessarily.
nothing makes me as happy as to come to a board meeting and see Marita here.
Nothing other than a free lunch. Okay.
That still wasn't enough.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on now to item number 15, public hearing to discuss the accomplishments and status of the county's open CDBG grant, 05 STBG 1523, and approval of the annual guarantee performance report. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Busby, Central Sierra Planning Council. Once a year, the state block grant program requires the county to conduct a public hearing on the status of this current grant through the Community Development Block Grant Program. That's part of the purpose of the meeting. The other purpose of the meeting is also for the board's consideration of an annual grantee performance report, which you are required to submit in conformance with the grant agreement. The grantee performance report is simply a discussion or review of the demographics of the beneficiaries of the program to date, and is really more of a report document than anything else. Possibly the public hearing is more important in that it offers the public an opportunity to comment on the status of the program. Since it's been a year, let me give you a brief background on what has transpired since last year when I met with you. In the fall last year, we investigated 11 homes in the West Point area that were located in the target area for housing rehabilitation needs. We conducted work
Larry,
write-ups.
could you speak up, please? Thank you.
Can I move this? We conducted work write-ups on each of the units, determined the needs for repairs or replacement. We were ready to start the program beginning in January of this year. At that point, and I'm going to give you some reference documents because otherwise you won't know what I'm referring to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At the point we were ready to begin the program, we had applicants who resided both on federal trust lands and off federal trust lands. We were able to substantiate title and ownership for those off trust lands, which is one of the requirements of the program, if the person applying for the funds actually own the property when it's on county jurisdiction property. I sent a letter, which is the first letter that appeared in your packet there, to the Bureau of Indian Affairs to inform them of the number of the clients that we were going to service under the program, under the Housing Rehabilitation Program, and as a matter of courtesy to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, since they hold the land in trust, did they have any concerns or objections concerning the program that Calaveras County was going to do on the trust lands. That letter was sent certified mail return receipt. There was a response back from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the superintendent for the Central Office of Central California Agency Office, in which he stated that actually the first paragraph or second paragraph and third paragraph is the heart of his issue. He made a statement that neither do the 7 named individuals listed in your letter have approved residential leases, rights-of-way, easements, or service line agreements, nor are they funded housing improvement program applicants for the trust land they claim to be occupying. Then in the next to last paragraph, he says, we further understand that because no approved conveyances or agreements currently exist, this fact may prevent said Indian landowners from receiving assistance from the county at this time. This is a very unfortunate situation. We do not want to negatively impact anyone, but we must adhere to our trust authority and continue to encourage Indian landowners presently occupying the allotments to obtain approved residential leases, rights of way, service line agreements, and other permits through this agency. That effectively precluded the county from using federal funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development on another agency's trust authority on operational land, which in this case was the Department of Interior operating to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I notified each of the applicants in writing of what the Bureau's decision was and encouraged them to pursue what the Bureau had stated they needed from each of the applicants so that we could go forward with the program and conduct the housing rehabilitation on their homes. Concurrently with that, we did go forward with two other applicants who were not located on trust land within county authority. And those 2 homes are in the process of construction at the current time and are scheduled for completion in about 6 to 8 weeks, according to the contractor. The county subsequently followed up in the form of an informal appeal with the superintendent of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and he was asked if he could further clarify his position from his letter in January to me. He responded to County Administrative Officer Mitchell with another letter on July 20th, 2007, in which he modified to some degree his previous statement, or expanded on it, I guess is a better term. He identified several sole owners who are recognized by the Bureau of Indian Affairs as owners allowed to be on the property. Those owners that are listed on the third letter do not have to have residential leases because they are sole owners. However, he does require them to have the other requirements that he stipulated for other possible residents of the trust lands, in which he again talked about a need for rights-of-way, service line agreements, and other permits through this agency, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. None of the individuals that are sole owners there are applicants, if you compare that with the applications we have on the first page. At this point, I think we're at the same situation with as far as the trust lands are concerned. I don't see how the county can go forward with a housing rehabilitation program on the trust lands until the Bureau of Indian Affairs specifically states the county may do so. Again, 2 homes should be completed hopefully within the next 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know that we're going to have other applicants for the program, since almost all of the applicants reside on the trust lands. And there was just a small segment or a small number of parcels outside the trust lands and in downtown West Point that were identified in the target area as receiving assistance. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this point, and you can open the public hearing at any time.
Any questions at this point?
I have a couple. I understand the deadline for expending these funds expires at the end of this year. Is that correct?
This grant will end December 31, 2007. If there are any funds remaining at that time, those funds will be returned to the Community Development Block Grant for reissuance under their program.
It appears from calls that I've had as recently as this morning that there is still some, I guess, misunderstandings about eligibility issues, although I know you've repeatedly sent this in writing. But there are people who are listed on the second letter that believe that their sons, daughters, uncles, aunts, family members, through their authority, can receive these funds, obviously from the BIA and HUD considerations. We can't do that. But I'm wondering if there would be a way to hold a meeting soon up there to make this absolutely clear in person that this is either going to be worked out through leases or we're going to lose all possibility of fixing these homes, which are in catastrophic conditions. These are folks who are living in 50-year-old trailers with blue tarps for roofs, with pipes going out the back into a hole for sewage. The electricity is in such bad shape as to be hazardous. It seems to me we need to be aggressive in trying to make a save here. It's a Hail Mary, of course. We're at the very tail end, and even if we started today, we just barely meet our deadlines. But it seems to me within the next couple of weeks, we need to hold a community meeting up in the trust land for all the applicants and make very clear, because there's so much misinformation being passed, that people are actually believing. I got a call this morning saying that they felt the Board of Supervisors had taken a position against expending this money. Quite the contrary. We want this to take place, but they have to make these transactions in order for us to be able to do this. Somehow we need to be maybe verbally rather than in writing or some kind of way. We need to make people realize this is it's a matter of weeks now, or we're going to lose this money. It took us a long time to get a grant for $500,000 to fix not 2 homes but many homes. And the idea that somehow we would miss this is just nothing short of appalling, although it is the relationships up there that have caused the issue. Essentially, people who don't like each other have to grant each other leases for anybody to have a house at all. So I wonder whether your agency could help sponsor such a moment here before we finally lose our money.
Well, I'd be glad to do that, Supervisor. I would say, though, that each applicant, and we are down to applicants now, because each of the tribes have selected their top priority applicants and submitted them to us. That's why we picked those specific individuals, because the tribes picked those individuals. And they have been specifically informed in writing, along with the letters, that said, you have to get these permits rights of way. The county has to have authority from BIA to do the rehab on your house. If we need to expand that to other tribal members who are not currently on the list for assistance, we'd be glad to do that.
Well, what I'm convinced of is that sometimes people read these letters and don't get the information that is within it. For instance, the second letter, the July 20th letter, was interpreted by one tribal council as saying, go ahead, you can build these on our land, because it listed these people. That's what people drew from this letter. And I think that as long as people think that the BIA has sent something, this is obviously not my reading of this or yours, but as long as people believe that, there's no motivation for people to grant each other leases because they think they're going to prevail. And I think that's what the BIA and this county and your agency need to convey in no uncertain terms. We're down to a matter of leases and weeks, not anything that's going to come from any of these letters, which are actually contravening their goals. That simply is not understood yet.
We're glad to have a meeting.
All right.
I'll work with CAO's office and see if we can get it set up.
Yeah, there's maybe within the next 10 days or so, because as I see it, if we get the leases next month, we're very hard-pressed to even make it in time.
That's correct.
Second question I do have for you is that we do have other off-site, not trust land, secondary priorities, things that were not as high a priority as the ones that are before us. Would it be time at this point to take the off-trust land second priorities to line up just in case the leases are not granted within trust land?
The county is required to conduct the housing rehabilitation program in the area identified in the application.
There were three.
As the area. There were two. There were actually two. They were contiguous.
Yes.
The trust lands and then lands immediately north of them, a small number of parcels, contiguous to those two on the map as far as the state's concerned. The other area was the parcels downtown in West Point,
yes,
on Matson Lane.
Right. Matson has one house that was Native American owned that is not yet.
And that one is undergoing rehabilitation.
There are two. One's undergoing rehab, and the other was a low priority and has not been submitted. So my question is, should the other one on Matson Lane submit, and should the others north and east of the trust land submit theirs, even though they were lower in the priorities?
If there's another unit that we're unaware of that's eligible, Native American eligible on Matson Lane, we would encourage them to submit an application as soon as possible, because we still have to qualify them in terms of their income eligibility and rehabilitation of their home. And if you're aware of that, I would certainly encourage that to happen. The other units on county property, north of the trust lands, but within that part of the target area, we've addressed every applicant on those properties. And if there are others who have ownership, fee simple title of their property, we can encourage them to do so as well. But what we responded to were the priorities submitted to us by both tribes. But if there are others who are eligible, that certainly doesn't preclude them from receiving assistance.
Okay. Any other comments for Laurie before I guess I still have to open a hearing. So at this point, I'll open a public hearing to discuss the accomplishments and status of the county's open CDBG grant. Anyone that wishes to testify during this hearing, please stand and be sworn in. Seeing none, I guess that will not be necessary. Any member of the board want to make comments on this? Okay. We'll close the public hearing then and bring it back to the board for comments. I guess is the way to do that. Any further comments? Okay, this is not an, is this? What?
Yeah, I'd like to move the approval of the annual grantee performance report.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the annual report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? This motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much, Larry. We've already discussed item 16. It is continued until September 25th board meeting. That is the Wallace Lake definitive subdivision tract map. So at this point, we'll move along to item number 17, review of correspondence, reports, and various matters of concern to the Board of Supervisors. We'll start with, we've got a world traveler at each end of the board here. So, Mr. Tryon.
I have 3 items to bring before the board today. First is we had a letter from Jeannie Boyce talking about the holdup in the state budget and how it's impacting her. It seems like the state budget isn't really any closer to getting resolved today than it's been for quite some time, which doesn't mean it doesn't get resolved tonight or tomorrow. But I think it would be good if we could schedule a study session, because I think we are getting to the point now where it is starting to impact county departments, particularly as it concerns cash flow for various departments. It would be nice, it seems to me, if in a week or two, and maybe we get to cancel it because the budget's, state budget's adopted, and we'll just, I think we should still hold it and ask, as a consequence of the adoption of the state budget, how are we impacted? And I suspect when the budget's adopted, whatever blue lining or line item vetoing the governor's going to do, he will do very quickly. And I guess our major concern, obviously, is the Williamson Act. But I think it would be good to schedule a study session and have the administrative office ask all department heads, what are the consequences currently of the state budget stalemate, and what will the consequences be going forward, and what are the critical timelines for each department as far as the receipt of state funds. I think it would be good if we had some discussion on those issues, so we just don't have a bunch of sort of trickle out of information that we're not coordinated on. And if we are obligated to continue funding and not receive state funds, then I think we should have some discussion as to what the source of the funds would be. So I would make that request. And, maybe 1 week's too soon. Maybe 2 weeks is more appropriate if we want to have a fuller discussion. And hopefully it'll be somewhat moot, hopefully, because we'll have a state budget. But if it isn't, I think it'll be very timely to have the discussion a couple of weeks hence.
So Mr. Mitchell will be back on the 16th, Shirley, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that
take a look at the study session schedule and see where it will fit appropriately.
We can do that.
And in the meantime, contact the department heads for their input.
We'll take care of that.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on that. Area 12 is in the same position, and as the chair of Area 12, I told the director to put some scenarios together because it will affect the programs for seniors, especially, of course, could be the food programs. So what I said was to look at possibly how long can we go before because they're usually 2 or 3 months in arrears on monies that they get, that the counties, part of the Joint Powers Authority, could make a loan to Area 12 to bridge till they start getting money like we did before. So there's maybe other agencies, surely, that would fall under the same category. I mean, it's fairly specific what is not being paid, but
and you would like them included in the study session too?
Well, I just think we need to look at that. For example, if we want to take general fund money and subsidize some public health activities, Medicare, what have you, at what point would there be payback? I would also be asking, at least on the boards I'm on, would be Area 12, family support. I don't believe is impacted by this. But there could be other agencies out there that are also, I don't know if HRC is impacted by that or not. Yeah, of course. But that's same scenario that Tom talked about.
Okay. I hope people can include clinics and nursing homes in this as well. Those are apparently facing significant impact.
That's what I emailed them.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'll continue then. The second issue I had is the president of the Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce came before the board, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks ago, and submitted a letter asking us to respond to them with a timeline on the general plan process. I don't believe we have responded. I think we should respond. So I think somebody, the administrative office, et cetera, somebody should bring something back to the board with a timeline, a current, and obviously this thing can change over time, but I think we should respond to the chamber. They made a fair request. It was done personally in a letter in writing, and I think we should respond to that. So you might go back, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago now, since I missed last week, so it was either 2 or 3 weeks ago. Jack Bodine submitted a letter on behalf of the chamber requesting a response from the board. I think the board should respond to that. So maybe you could bring something to the board and let the board look at it, because quite frankly, I'd like to see it too. So,
okay, we can meet with the Community Development Director and see if there is a timeline.
Oh, the letter should come from Bill.
Well, it should come
to
from
get that,
yeah,
and we'll bring that.
But we should discuss it as a board before it goes
out.
Because, and it doesn't have to have definitive timelines. It can have some estimates and stuff, but I think we should give them an honest response. Thirdly, my last issue is the board went out on an RFP for a general plan consultant. Apparently it was sent to 3 vendors. and we only received one response by the deadline, which was June 14th. About a week or 10 days before that deadline, I spoke with Janice and said, and asked her what who we had sent the RFPs out to, et cetera, and he said basically that the department head had sent them out and had picked the three vendors, and I asked her if we shouldn't expand it beyond just three vendors picked by the department head, and she called the attorney that we've retained as our general plan advisor on the general plan process, and he came up with three firms that he highly recommended for general plan consultants. And the administrative office sent out the RFP to those three firms. Of course, that was like with a week to go in the process. Two of those firms responded and said they were very interested in responding to the RFP, but they needed an extension of time because they had not been given enough time. And I think they had requested like 1 or 2 weeks, as I recall. The department had said no, it was too urgent, that she would not accommodate an extension of time. And this is, of course, 2 months ago, and the RFP has still not been back to the board to be awarded. So out of the three that the department had sent it out to, there was only one response, and of course that was the Mintier consultant group. Mintier did the initial evaluation of the general plan. Mintier also did the backgrounding work for the general plan. The board at one point said that we did not want the same consultant to do all three, that we would like a different consultant to be the general plan consultant. But as being the department head, which I don't think is appropriate for the department head unilaterally to decide that there will not be an extension of time, particularly in a situation like this. We only had one response then from the three consultants that were given the RFP, and that was Mintier. We had a budget of $740,000 for the general plan consultant. The bid came in at $739,960, which is $40, not $40,000, $40 less than the budgeted amount. So I'm very concerned about whether we really had a bidding process at all, or whether we really had an RFP. This strikes me as much more of a sole source contract than a open bidding process. And I bring this up because I think we should schedule something a week hence, and we should, as a board, extend the time deadline and resubmit that RFP to the two other parties, engineering firms that were recommended by our general plan attorney that we've retained. See what the administrative office, see how much time they would need, and see even if they're still interested in submitting a proposal. If they are, then I think we should extend it for the 2 or 3 weeks, whatever's necessary, and allow them to submit a proposal. Because I'm very concerned about process, and procedurally, this thing, in my opinion, does not meet mustard. So I would like to...
How much time do they need, Tom?
Huh?
Do you know how much, did they say how much time they need?
I don't think they, at the moment, at the time of the deadline, I don't think they had requested a considerable amount of time. I think another week or 10 days probably would have been satisfactory. But I think we should check with those other two consultants if they're still interested in the process. You know, I am not at all particularly happy with the Mintier group myself. I don't, maybe I shouldn't quite say this for record, but when they did the initial study, I don't think any competent consulting group would ever come back when we asked them to review the general plan and say that the general plan is legally inadequate. That's for an attorney to say. There was no consultation with any attorney in that process. I bet you'd have a hell of a time finding a consultant that would review a general plan and come back with a statement like that without any substantiation whatsoever. So I think we need to give direction to open some discussions with the other two consultant groups, and we should extend the deadline and allow them to submit proposals. And now County Council would have to, if the board did that, talk to the Mintier group, because they obviously have a legal right to submit a proposal, and since they already submitted and theirs has been opened, and we know it's $40 less than $760,000, I don't know the implications of that. Obviously, they should be allowed to resubmit a bid also. So I don't know the legal implications of that, but I'm not at all happy with what I view as just as basically a single source contract. So those are my comments.
Are there any other comments about that? That's a hot issue.
I agree with that. I was a bit concerned when it was just sort of single-sourced, and we still haven't seen the contract, and it's been however long.
2 months.
Okay, I'll take your word.
June 14th,
okay,
and today is August 14th.
I take your word for it. We have, there's already precedent set in other departments for going out to bid again or rebidding or extending the RFP process. This is not something that this board has not done through the auspices of department heads who have come and asked us to extend it also. So I would like that, especially since it hasn't even come to the board for approval, I would like it to go back out. I mean, to go out for bid, and Mintier also should be allowed to bid again on that.
Yeah, I mean, if we
sharpen their pencil.
reauthorize it and open it up for 3 weeks or whatever, it should be to anybody, quite frankly.
Well, correct, to anyone, and maybe the two that
But most
didn't.
particularly the two that expressed an interest and were sort of closed off at the
whomever.
last moment.
I mean, whether it was those two or the other two or what have you, I think this is very critical. The general plan is very critical. I was disappointed that it wasn't extended, but the board was not making that decision. It was so, which normally we have in the past. So I would like it to go back out for bid.
Steve?
I'd like to know more before making that decision. First, how far down the pike are we on our first round of bidding, and do we have legal issues if we do reopen? I'd sure want to know that before taking this action. Secondly, I would agree that it's important to get the best. This is too big an issue to blow either procedurally or by content, but I don't think that the initial study, if it concluded that we had some problems, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist, and I don't think it would take, I don't think there's any qualified firm that wouldn't have noted that we have certain deficiencies in our general plan. We ourselves have noted that, so I don't think that's the basis for
That
looking at
wasn't
this.
the comment. The comment is when they made a statement that it's legally inadequate. That's different than deficiencies in the plan.
At any rate, that's not the reason I would want to get back into this. I don't want to punish a firm for coming to a conclusion that certainly is arguable. The process, though, we shouldn't do a bid and have a conclusion to that and then wind up reversing ourselves. What I want to do is find out exactly where we are in this process and bring it back. I'd also like to hear from the department, because there are usually different interpretations about how process works around here, and I want to make sure we have the whole story before making a conclusion. I would agree with Tom that we should schedule this for as soon as possible, because I don't want yet another series of delays on an already behind the timeline set of actions. So let's...
2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, did I
Yeah.
say that?
Well, yeah, Marita is proving prophetic here. And maybe we're proving something that's more pathetic. But we need to get on with this process. We need to do it accurately, and we need to do it based on all the information available, not just part of the story. So let's get the rest of the story and make a decision.
Does this discussion qualify for a closed session, Jim?
Well, part of it may. The general rule is that the board has the authority to reopen the bidding, but this is a little bit different circumstance. I'd like to have my office review the paper trail in its entirety and make sure that we don't have a situation where there are some rights that Mentir may have already. So, but certainly part of the discussion would be appropriate for a closed session.
Can we do that by next week?
We can.
So how does the board feel about discussing this next week?
I think it's good.
Is that right?
Fine.
What did Russ say? I didn't hear what you said.
I said I think it's good. I'm concerned about the legal aspects of, we frequently go out to request for proposals for vehicles. This is a service that we've requested. We set the specifications and ask people to bid it, and others declined to bid it. Tom, I'm not aware of this circumstance that you're talking about where others were asked, but they didn't. They responded that they didn't have enough time.
Later in the process.
Okay.
They weren't asked when it went out
initially. Okay, but I'm certainly very anxious to see us get a good product, and I don't want to spend any more money getting it than we need to spend. So if we could get perhaps consider redefining the scope of the work or something, so that I come from a realm of having to submit my best bid the first time. And it was always very disappointing to me whenever I had the low bid and everybody knew what my low bid was, and then it got advertised for bid again. There was no problem in that procedure as long as the request for the proposal was somehow modified so that there was an opportunity for it to be a competitive bid again. So that should be part of the discussion next week.
I'll obviously defer to county council, but the board on numerous occasions has had an RFP go out and come back to the board, and the board reject it and say, rebid it. I mean, that's not uncommon. Just because you've opened it and it comes to the board doesn't have to approve that contract. The board can reject that contract and say rebid it. We do it all the time.
Okay.
Okay, then next week, unless there's something we're not aware of at this time, we'll discuss this in a closed session.
Excuse me. Okay, that completes my comments, Mr. Chair.
Steve.
I wanted to mention before my schedule that we have next week, and I hope the press will convey this, we have the long-awaited and last time postponed meeting on community plans and our approach to it. It'll happen in the town hall at 1:30 at San Andreas, and the board will be there on time.
What date's this?
This is next week, the 21st. And but I do want to convey to the public my apologies for our not being there on time last time and getting into such deep scheduling conflict. But I believe all of us intend to be there at the appointed time this time, and I hope that will be conveyed to in any way you can. As for me, this week I have JPA, the Family Support, is meeting at 2 o'clock at CalWorks tomorrow. I wanted to check and see whether the meeting of cemetery districts had been scheduled. This was something we talked with Tom Mitchell about, and he was going to schedule, but I hadn't got confirmation.
Not to the best of my knowledge. I will check with him when he comes back.
Didn't come.
All right, so we'll try to reschedule that. That was an attempt to pull the cemetery districts together for some...
Was that scheduled for Wednesday?
Originally scheduled for Wednesday, but apparently not going to happen. I'm going to attend the Workforce Investment Board meeting at the Delta Blood Bank in Sonora on Thursday at 12:30. And that concludes the board-appointed meetings for this week.
Supervisor Walensky, let me double check on that cemetery district meetings. I'll check Tom's calendar, but I have no knowledge of it, but I will see what I can find out.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that was tentative at the time before Mr. Mitchell went on vacation, so I don't think he got around to actually doing that. So.
Let me know, because I need to call some people off.
I will do that.
Did it? Did. Okay. Let's see. Oh, with the four of the board members, hopefully, I'm going to be at the State Fair for the awards ceremony on Friday, at having a free dinner, by golly, in my free T-shirt.
Good for you.
Yeah, but no free parking, so I don't know, maybe I won't make it. The other thing is we had, because there's been some disruptions here with personal matters in the HR department, I'm not sure if we're still on schedule for some interviews in the morning.
I don't know that. I believe Francine plans on being back tomorrow, so unless she's indicated otherwise, I would say that those that she scheduled with you are still on. But I don't know that.
I'm not sure if they ever got finalized. There were at least 3 candidates that were going to be here in the morning.
I will
have interviews for the interim CAO position.
I will contact HR, Melissa, and see if I can verify that for you and get back to you this afternoon.
We'll need to know today.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm not here tomorrow, so.
You're not here?
No.
Okay.
Is this a board thing?
Yeah.
You lost me as to
We
what's
had
happening.
tentatively.
We what?
Bill had
We had tentatively scheduled
it.
interviews for the interim CAO position for tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And there's been a death in the family of our HR director, so she's been out for a few days. And so
When was this scheduled? It wasn't when I was gone.
It was the last, yeah. And so
Should have checked your email while you
we're not sure exactly
I didn't check those
if
yet.
these are going to go forward. They're not necessarily conclusive, but these folks had sent in their interest in applications, and
Okay.
so I'm not sure where we're at there, but surely you'll let us know.
Okay.
And make sure the applicants are aware as well, please.
I will do that.
And where are we meeting? Can't remember.
In the HR conference room.
Yeah, it was scheduled from 9 to 1, and with a pre-meeting at 8 to go over questions.
I thought the email said 8:30 for
I've got 8.
whatever.
I will
You just
confirm.
tell us when to be there, Shirley.
I'll
We'll be
confirm
there.
times.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You were going to do those in my office. Has that changed?
That's right.
In your office?
Yeah,
That's what
that's right.
Okay.
He's right.
That's in Jim's office.
Yeah, the kitchen.
Okay, Maria?
I also have family support at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and I have the state water plan update in Sacramento on Thursday and Friday. The Friday meeting goes till 4, so then I will try and get to the state fair after the water meeting's over.
Where's the water meeting at?
Near Arden Fair,
Oh, okay.
somewhere near there.
You'll be close.
Am I close?
Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
very close.
Good.
The way you drive?
It's
Very
really
close.
Thanks, Claudino. And that's it. I represent the California State Association of Counties at the water.
Okay. Tell them to hurry it up.
Well, last time it took us 4 years. I'm not sure what it'll take us this time.
Russ?
Okay, as far as appointed activities, the only thing that's on my radar here for the next little bit was a LAFCO meeting on the Monday, the 20th, that's coming up. But I do want to point out that there is a Discover Calaveras event that's going to take place at the Copperopolis Town Square Wednesday this week at 5 o'clock. So it's one of those regularly scheduled summer events that the Visitors Bureau, the Calaveras Visitors Bureau, has been putting on.
That's not tomorrow.
Yes.
It is tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There'll be refreshments at 5 o'clock and presentation starting at 5:30, and then a town square tour. And since this is a fairly significant thing that's going on in our county, I'd like to invite you folks to come and participate in it. Let's see. I also will be going to the State Fair on the 17th. And I just wonder if you other supervisors made note of this United States Department of Interior request for Calaveras County to look at becoming a contributor to the preparation of the resource management plan and environmental impact statement for New Melones. I really seriously think that we should jump into this with both.
I had that, and I didn't bring it up, but I think that should be agendized. And I think one of the clarifications we need for the board to take an action on that is they want us to financially participate. And I think surely your office should check with New Melones and find out what the definition of financially what did I just say? Participate, what a dollar sign looks like to financially participate, so we have some idea, because that would obviously, if we do that, there's a budgetary impact. I think that needs to be quantified, so thank you for bringing that up.
It could be...
but we better get that scheduled, because it's only a 30-day period to comment on,
right.
So maybe you could check that. Maybe we could schedule something next week if you can get some clarification for us.
And could I get a copy of that?
I have the letter right here. I forgot to bring that. I didn't get that written down somehow.
That concludes my comments.
Oh, I did.
Thank you, Russ. Steve, you had one more item?
Yes. Also in correspondence, and I forgot to mention this the first time around, I got a letter from a mobile home owner, Joe Jellison, concerned about the deletion of Comanche mobile home parks. This is apparently East Bay Municipal Utility District is considering three options on for a new master plan, one of which would eliminate the three mobile home parks on a 37 acres of land there. The concern that people have is that these are mostly people who are seniors. You may recall that in our roles as the
assessor,
working with the assessor's office as the Board of Equalization, that this some part of this group came before us on tax issue, and the primary concerns they had was they're on fixed incomes, they're elderly, that the places that they have are no longer mobile, that some of them are way too old to be moved to any or be acceptable to any other location. Before we create a massive senior homeless problem inadvertently, I would hope that we as a county might weigh in on this matter and urge them to take another option besides the one that would eliminate the housing for these folks. I would view this as an unmitigatable housing catastrophe in a county that already has a lot of issues with low income availability. So if anybody else feels that way, I'd like to see us take a position and communicate to the East Bay Municipal Utility District that there are many considerations, I'm sure, for them in terms of recreational opportunities there, but they should not create this level of collateral damage in creating a new master plan.
This came up once before.
Yeah, the communications I've had with Ms. or Ms. Finelli, I have conveyed my sentiments similarly to that. Especially in light of the problem we had down there last year with the assessment for possessory interest. The impression that I got from East Bay Mud was rather standoffish. I don't know what they intend to do, but I fear that they intend to somehow eliminate that, and they're just trying to bring it to a soft landing and I indicated there is no soft landing when you displace 40 or 50 people who have no place to go. It'd be different if they had some place to go, but it also, even if they phase out the leases there, it still leaves those people with nowhere to go because their homes, regardless of condition, are then not saleable. If nobody's going to buy a place that is going to be destroyed or inundated. So I'm with Steve, and I'm wondering if the board would like to take a position on this. I'm not quite sure how to go about doing
Well,
that.
I don't have a problem, but I think East Bay Mud should be here also.
Why don't we do a study session and ask
to
East
hear
Bay
all
Mud to be in attendance? And
Yeah.
see if we can just sort of talk to them without having
To invite them to a study session?
Yeah.
Invite them to a study session?
Yeah, invite them to a study
I
session.
think-
Say we would like to talk about this issue.
I think we might be on a shorter timeline than this. The letter that was received states that as early as today, they may make some decision on this. I think we should call them, we should ask, if possible today, for them to delay anything until we can hold some kind of a study session on the impacts of it. But I should also note that apparently there are 191 homes involved in this, that it's quite much larger.
Both North Shore and South Shore.
Yes. So this is a fairly large number of people affected.
Well, it's Bill's area, I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could,
Yeah, you might
you
even
could
want
do
to ask
that.
our
Call
state
them.
assemblyman if he'd like to be present for it and just have a roundtable discussion on it.
Is that letter, I forget if that letter has a phone number. No. That's right, I can find her number. But she's the one to talk to, I believe. Okay, that's it? Okay. And Russ, I will not be at your event tomorrow because it's been trumpeted by my grandchildren. Therefore,
It's understandable.
I don't know much, but I know where those priorities are. Okay, we're going to go into a couple of closed sessions now, so this meeting is adjourned.
Press today.
Yeah.
Running wild.
Okay?
And that.
Okay, rolling.
Oh, and this one, the
Wait a
auto
minute.
insurance premium, this is,
Okay, Shirley Ryan, do you have anything for us today?
Actually, I do. Thank you.
Oh, good.
I just thought the board would like to know that we received the final reports and closing books from the auditor's office for fiscal year 0607, and our cash carry balance for the year end is $2,900,386, which is about $400,000 more than we were projecting at proposed budget. However, I do want to remind the board that at proposed budget, we had a deficit of $530,000, which we made up with by reducing our contingencies from 3% to 1.7%. Additionally, as you got the memo from the assessor's office, the tax rolls did close at 11.56% instead of the projected 10% that we did a proposed budget. That may mean additional approximately $165,000 going into final budget. However, as we talked about earlier, no state budget has been adopted, and one of the items out there is that the governor has, in order to try and facilitate the adoption of a state budget, has said he would line item veto up to $700,000 in the state budget once it was adopted, and therefore is at risk is the Williamson Act funds. And for our county, that's about $199,000.
How much was that?
$199,000. Additionally, we still have nearly $2 million in department requests left over from proposed budget. So, just a reminder.
You're saying don't spend.
I'm saying don't think
And she might also comment that we
$400,000
have negotiations with all units ongoing, and nothing's set aside for that, so.
And lastly, budget hearings were tentatively, final budget hearings were tentatively scheduled for September 5th and 6th. There is a study session scheduled on Tuesday, 9/4 at 1:30 to review the mission statements, goals and objectives, and budget principles for this fiscal year. And then with final budget hearing starting at 9 o'clock on September 5th, which is Wednesday, and continuing if necessary to September 6th. And I know Supervisor Callaway emailed me and said she may have a conflict, but I just want to make sure those dates still are viable for everybody.
You just talked to Judge Maloney. You just say you need me more than he does.
There is a one-time exemption, I believe, from doing
I did it. I got it.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Shirley. Sorry. Jim Jones?
Thank you for asking.
Madeline?
Nothing.
Jim? Meeting's adjourned.